How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Self-Proclaimed Movie Critics, a show where we talk about movies. Who could have guessed it? I'm your host, Bazar, and today's topic is the Crown Prince of Crime, the Joker, inspired by the 1928 silent film The Man Who Laughs. The Joker has taken on many iterations throughout his comic book debut in Batman #1 on April 25th of 1940. Most Jokers have become well-known culture icons, such as Jack Nicholson's Joker in the Batman 1989 version, or Heath Ledger's in The Dark Knight in the 2008 film, or Mark Hamill's famous known Joker from the Batman animated series, also lesser known as Jokers as Cesar Romero's and Jared Leto. Joker, in theaters now, is the first big screen portrayal of the Joker's origin story, starring Joaquin Phoenix as a titular character. Today I'm joined by Joker enthusiasts Ben Grabowski and Sam Serrano. And today we've come prepared with a top 5 list of our 5 all-time favorite Jokers from the big screen. My personal number 5 is going to be Cesar Romero. Personally, because I didn't grow up with him, I didn't really know what his thing was, but I respect him because he started out the entire big screen portrayal of the Joker character, and I love how that worked out with him. At number 4, I had Jared Leto, and so some people disagree with me putting him so high on my list. But I liked his character. The movie wasn't the greatest in Suicide Squad, but I loved the character and what he did with it.
Oh my God.
My number 3, I had Joaquin Phoenix, which some people might be surprised with.
Arthur, does it help to have
But-
someone to talk to?
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face.
I put Joaquin Phoenix at number 3 on my list because of the Joker never really had an origin story, and to put the well-acted character that Joaquin Phoenix put on, as well as a fantastic script, in my opinion, really put him high up on my list. Number 2, I have some childhood nostalgia with Mark Hamill being number 2. I grew up with Mark Hamill. I always loved watching Batman the Animated Series and any other voice acting he ended up doing. His laugh is it's a very signature laugh for me. And just all of the different work he's done that just helped me grow up was fantastic. But my all-time favorite, out of my all-time favorite movie of all time, would be Heath Ledger.
And I thought my jokes were bad.
Give me one reason why I shouldn't have my boy here pull your head off.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone. Oh, and by the way, the suit, it wasn't cheap. You ought to know, you bought it.
Shit. I want to hear proposition.
Heath Ledger did such a great job with the character that I rewatched the movie, not because of it being my favorite movie, just because I want to see his performance again and the amount of dedication, and rest his soul for passing away soon after the movie. But just the character work he ended up doing with what he was given was just off the chain for me. Ben, you had your list prepared as well, correct?
Yeah. So my number 5 is Jack Nicholson in Batman 1989.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
Yeah, he's great in the movie, and that's the first Batman film that I ever saw. Jack Nicholson's a great actor, we all know that. And I like his take on the Joker in that film, especially the sort of unhinged, kind of just crazy Wall Streety kind of Joker performance that he put on in that movie. My number 4 is Zach Galifianakis in the Lego Batman movie.
I got you.
Oh, yeah? Well, there's only one problem. Who's gonna defuse the bomb? It's gotta be one or the other, Batman. Save the city or catch your greatest enemy. You can't do both.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
You can't do both, I said.
No, I mean the other thing.
Save the city or catch your greatest enemy.
You think you're my greatest enemy?
Yes! You're obsessed with me.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Zach
Yes, you are.
Galifianakis is
Who
great
else
in the
drives
film.
you to one-up
And,
them the
even
way
though he
that
does voiceover acting, his performance in the film is great, and I love his kind of nuanced take on it with the pew 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 when he's shooting the gun, and I love the movie in general, and he's number 4 on my list. Number 3 is Joaquin Phoenix in Joker.
You just...
Joaquin Phoenix delivered a great performance in the film, and even though I have problems with the film as a whole, his take on the Joker was very unique, and it was more of a mental illness story overall than the clown aspect. Number 2, I have Mark Hamill.
I got this flashlight with me. I got this flashlight with me. I'll shine it across the gap between the buildings, and you can walk across the beam and join me. But the second guy says, what do you think I am? Crazy? You just turn it off when I'm halfway across.
Oh, excuse me.
Mark Hamill has been the Joker for longer than anyone else, and his voiceover work for the character was great, and his laugh is unlike anything you'll ever hear, and it's just not from the animated series. He's the Joker in the Batman Arkham series as well, and he's fantastic. And my number 1 is Heath Ledger.
You just couldn't let me.
Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight is still to this day my favorite performance of all time, and it's not just Joker related, it's at all. What he did with that character was incredible, and even his impersonations that he brought to the character with the licking of the lips was incredible, and he won a posthumous Oscar for it, and may he rest in peace.
All right. Sam, you had your list prepared as well, correct?
I do, actually, and my list is quite similar to the two of you guys. My number 5, actually, I have Cesar Romero.
Where's Bruce Wayne?
Mr. Wayne is not at home, sir.
Too bad. I'll get my revenge later. Right now I'll settle for cash. Where's the safe?
My duties do not include aiding and abetting thievery.
Oh, no?
See. This way, sir.
Now, I just love Cesar Romero because of his just comedic take on the character. It was just, I loved how it was just introduced in the animated series. Now, I can't place him any higher because it is from the 60s, being a little corny, and me not being obviously from the 60s, I can't place it that much higher in my list. Number 4, actually, I have Jack Nicholson.
It's me? Nice place you got here. Lots of space. Vicky, we really...
Now, Jack Nicholson's take on the character was very iconic in that in the '89 Batman, many people to this day still consider it to be the best Joker, but I can't put him any higher because I kind of classify Jack Nicholson's Joker with like the nostalgia act. Since I'm not from that era either, I can't really place him higher, but I do love his take on the Joker. I just wasn't that big a fan of the whole mobster persona.
Yeah, I get it.
Number 3, I had Joaquin Phoenix.
She told me I had a purpose. To bring laughter and joy to the world.
No, I just saw the Joker movie for the second time a couple days ago, and the more I think about it, the more I actually like and grow warmer to the character. Not in the sense of I feel bad for the character, but I just love that take on it. Just the unstableness of the character. And at number 2, I have Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
I'm sorry.
You know, it's funny. This reminds me of a joke. See, there were 2 guys locked in a lunatic asylum. And one night they decided they didn't like that anymore. They decided to escape.
No, I have Mark Hamill at number 2 because, as you guys have already touched on, the animated series, the Arkham games, just the iconic laugh, the iconic voice. It's just, when you think of Joker, you automatically think of that voice. That is why I have Mark Hamill at number 2. And at number 1, of course, I have Heath Ledger.
If tomorrow I tell the press that, like, a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blowing up, nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds. Introduce him.
Now, what can I say about Heath Ledger's Joker that you guys haven't already said? He just immersed himself into the role fully, just like he was touched on the posthumous Oscar award. Just the performance was just so over the top, just so great. It was just, it made an already great movie just that much better. That's why I have Heath Ledger number 1.
So the first top 3, I think, are pretty solidified between us three about who we think played the Joker the absolute best. But the bottom 2 was a little bit of difference. I liked Jared Leto for what he did because he played a really good character and all that. But the script wasn't the greatest. I love the little snarl he gave when he was intimidating his enemies and all of that. Ben, is there anything that you would like to argue on your list, like your number 4 slot?
Well, I like I said, I really like Zach Galifianakis' character. I thought he did a great job with what he was given. And once again, what makes him as a Joker so good is his back and forth, the relationship that he has with Batman, and he doesn't want that relationship to go away. But I didn't put Jared Leto on the list because that movie is just a dumpster fire, and Jared Leto's performance in that movie is just not good.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
100%. Sam?
You know what? I'm going to have to agree with Ben on this one.
You just ganged up on me, I see. Okay.
I don't believe Jared Leto's performance was any fault of his own. I feel like it was more the writing than his performance, because I feel he very much immersed himself into the character as well, just like Heath did. But as you can see, the writing, just the direction they were going with that movie, it was just all the tattoos, the gangster persona.
Yeah.
Just not a big fan of that.
You see, I love characters, and that's why I put him a little bit higher on my list. And I read somewhere that in the pre-production of Suicide Squad, he sent dead animals to his co-stars.
Which is not right to ever do.
Granted, it's not right, but it helped him get into
I don't care if you're a method actor or not. You shouldn't be doing that.
Well, I mean, he has
some actors need to do whatever they can.
He did have some cool SoundCloud tattoos. Am I right, though?
No.
No?
No.
No.
I didn't like the tattoos at all. The damage on the forehead is unnecessary. He looked like a punk rock, and he got that white supremacy kind of vibe.
He had the ha all over his chest. It's just.
Yeah.
No.
So you think it's like a child took handwriting to someone's body and just wrote all over it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, but no, I just love the entire character, But we're gonna have to go to a real quick break, real soon. Right after the break, we're gonna be talking about the Joker actual movie review and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like that. Any pre-thoughts before we get into that before the break?
Well, no, I'm really excited to talk about the movie because I know all three of us have some different opinions on it and what we think it means and the controversy that was going into the film surrounding it.
Okay, yeah, because I've seen the film twice. I believe you've seen the film twice.
I have.
You've seen it.
I've seen it once.
Seen
yes.
it once. All right. Well, we're going to be right back after a quick commercial break. I'm your host, Baz. Stay right there. Thank you so much.
Janine woke up in a cold sweat with one thing echoing through her brain. Who was this guy in her bathroom?
Meanwhile, Barry was thinking, whose bathroom am I in?
Janine remembered going to the party the night before and getting smashed out of her mind.
Barry remembered getting drunk and acting really stupid.
Eventually.
The whole evening came back.
Oh, I must be really stupid.
I must be really dumb.
What did I do? How did I get myself into this?
Well, what did I do? How did I get myself into this?
What about...
What about...
What about AIDS? Then they both realized, much to their relief, that unlike the rest of us...
They were just cartoons.
Get high.
Get stupid.
Get AIDS.
I don't know, I'm missing something there.
This is New Guinea.
It's so powerful.
I don't see it.
I'm having an out-of-decade experience. I was walking and came upon a fountain which bore the sign, "Don't drink the water."
Do you get
the beggar
this?
carries a
Isn't
sign
it
saying, "I'm
fantastic?"
blind." What does this poem mean to me? It's like a collage of images.
Let's face it, not every cultural activity appeals to everyone.
Finding an oasis.
So we're giving you something everyone likes, a choice. That's why 23,000 arts and humanities groups are inviting you to find something you can get excited about. Just call for a free brochure about what's going on in your community.
I think I'm getting into this.
They're tuning up.
The arts and humanities, there's something in it for you. There's a lot going on in your community. For a free brochure on how to get involved, call our toll-free number.
And welcome back to Self-Proclaimed Movie Critics. I'm your host, Baz. We're joined by my guests, Ben Grabowski and Sam Serrano. And we wanted to get more into the controversy in the actual review of the movie. Now, my first question for you is, how do you think the controversy over this movie was validated in the fact that the content of the movie warranted all of this backlash against it?
No, I do not. I don't believe in film controversy, really. I think people interpret films differently than others, and unfortunately, some people have twisted minds, and I don't believe that films make people want to shoot up movie theaters. When I was at the film, I saw it at the Thursday night premiere. The theater was filled with cops. There was a cop outside the front door, and there were 3 cops when you entered. And it was the first time I was ever at a theater when you had to have bags checked, and there were no bags allowed at all of any sorts.
That was the same thing at my workplace, because I work at a theater myself. We had a police officer come in the day before Joker's screening to make sure it was okay if he could stay there just in case anything did happen. And I understand the precautions. I don't think they're completely necessary, though. How about you, Sam?
I understand where they are coming from, especially after the whole event that happened after The Dark Knight Rises back in 2012. But again, I'm not sure if the movie itself warrants all the police presence that we have seen. I can see the people thinking how controversial it is, but I don't see the need for that much police force.
I could understand people who are scared to go see the film, because even myself, I was a little, I questioned going to see it opening night, because I mean, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't take that precaution when I went to go see like an Avengers Endgame or any sorts like that, because there was no controversy and people weren't bringing this whole matter up. And it hadn't been brought up in a while.
What's different about this movie as opposed to mainstream like superhero movies is that this one didn't have the upbeat Marvel feel. It was much more directed at like a lot of people thought the movie was about mental illness, which I think that was a plot device, but I don't think it was the main idea of it. What are your guys' thoughts on how a lot of people thought that it was a movie about mental illness using Joker as a character to portray that?
Yeah, I think it's valid that it is a mental illness story, and it's really a story about a sick individual who who needs help. And there's a scene, and it's not a spoiler in the beginning of the movie, when the guy's talking to his therapist.
Yeah, that was in the trailer, right?
Yeah, and all she's saying she's not really paying attention to what he's saying.
Yeah.
And all he wants is help now, and all she's thinking about is, we're closing down in a month, so
yeah.
You're gonna have to get the hell out of here and he's like, well, why aren't you helping me right now? Because I need help, and it made you feel for the character until later events occurred.
Sam, did you have any thoughts on it?
No, I also agree that the film does deal heavily with mental illness, but I would have to disagree with critics saying that it shines a poor light on mental illness, because just as Ben said, it happens, many catastrophic events happen after the fact. That scene in the trailer where they show the social worker and Joker meeting, Arthur Fleck meeting. So I disagree with the critics who think it shines a poor light on mental illness. I think it has, the movie deals with mental illness, but it does a great job of balancing it, where it's like, he's the villain, you don't forget that he's the villain, but at the same time you do have those feelings where...
And he's also an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, you get attached to an unreliable narrator. Yeah. I thought that there was a lot of dead space in the movie. I feel like that was needed.
It was very slow.
Because it was a slow movie, but I feel like that was needed for the topic and matter of this new mentally ill Joker.
Yeah.
Right.
Another question I wanted to ask you guys, along with people that are accusing it of being about mental illness and attacking it, there's also a handful of people that think that this is a political movie, which me personally I don't agree with, because with the title Joker, you can it's pretty well known within the culture who Joker is. Yeah. You buy tickets to that movie if you didn't know what it was. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna go see the Joker for a little bit. You don't think, oh, I'm gonna go and change my mind about something politically. What are your guys' thoughts on people thinking it'd be a political movie instead of the mental illness movie?
Well, first of all, this movie's been out for a few weeks now.
Yeah, about 2.
And I think you should see it. This is not an entertaining movie. It's 2 hours of it's a 2-hour depressing movie.
Yeah.
It's not really happy at all. I don't think it's trying to take aim at mental illness. I don't think it's embracing it either. I think it's just showing that there's a real problem in our society with it, and the healthcare system overall in general.
All right, Sam?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's a 2-hour character study of a man who just gets deeper and darker into his own demons, and he just can't seem to escape it until he eventually starts to accept it. And that's not a spoiler at all either, when people know what Joker is, and like you guys have said, in the community. But as for the political moves in the movie, I don't agree with that it's a political movie at all either, to be honest. I feel like that was just there to kind of support the main character, Arthur Fleck, in a way that he doesn't have an army of, again, this is an origin story. He doesn't have his army of, he doesn't have his little followers, his little minions or anything. So, I feel like it was just a plot device so that Joker or Arthur Fleck can have people on his side that aren't viewed as antagonists.
Okay, so I think by this point we've established that this is more of a character movie,
character study,
to mental illness, political, etc.
Even though it deals heavily in those things.
Yes.
It says a lot about the times we live in today, though.
What do you think your favorite part of the character was? Not a scene, but a character trait of the character. For example, my favorite part of the Arthur Fleck Joker character is how unstable he always seems to be. In the trailers, you saw a pan to his back as he's squeezing something in his hand that can't be seen.
It's the clown shoe.
Yeah, it's the clown shoe, but in the scene I was thinking, I'm sorry.
Which is more of a kind of a metaphor for his life in general.
And so just his unstableness. What do you guys think? What was your favorite character trait?
I think he had a good take on the Joker laugh.
Yes.
Even though it got annoying at times, because there's a lot of that in the movie, you can see the laugh, and you can really feel the laugh, and you can feel the angst, and you can feel the difficulty and the heartbreak in his voice, and when he laughs so hard he coughs, and there's a condition I won't go into, but it's in the movie, and I really like that trait of the character.
All right, Sam.
I'd have to say, I like how, if you pay attention a bit, in the Joker film, Arthur Fleck goes basically throughout the whole movie just wanting acceptance. Like, without going too much into spoiler territory, he meets with a particular man, and he's just wanting acceptance. He specifically says, "How about a hug?" or something like that, and he just looks for acceptance throughout the whole movie. And without going into spoilers, at one point he says something about a loner who society has forgotten about, and so I just feel like how that's probably my favorite trait, that he's going looking for acceptance.
So I think now is a good time for us to start actually looking at the movie as a whole instead of these smaller aspects, right? So personally, I like I said, I saw the movie twice. The first time I went in, I came out thinking, what did I just see? Because there's so much to see that I find that you have to go see a movie twice to understand it.
Right.
But after seeing it twice and all of the character development and all of the supporting characters to help transform this deranged man, I just really enjoyed this fantastic film. And I would give it maybe a solid 8 out of 10. I loved it.
Yeah, I gave the film a 7 out of 10. I gave it a 7 because as much as I thought it was a really good a story, as far as a DC film goes, I thought that they try to incorporate themes such as the Waynes, and there's a scene in the film that is seen in every Batman movie that is just, it gets old. And the parts with him and Thomas Wayne, that I'll say, are, they don't work very well for me. But this is really 2 hours of Joaquin Phoenix on the screen. I mean, he's really on the screen the entire film, and he's great at it. I give a 10 out of 10 for the score of the film, because the score of the film is very haunting, and it's a constant theme, and it comes in areas where you wouldn't expect it, and it really sets the mood for the entire film. So I give the film a 7 out of 10.
All right, Sam.
I'd have to give the film an 8 out of 10. I'm sorry. I have to agree with you because just like you, I saw it the first time and I really didn't know what to think. I just knew that I kept thinking about the film. I wouldn't stop thinking about it, so I had to go see it the second time. I saw it the second time, and just like how Ben touched upon, it's just that character study of a film and his performance, Joaquin Phoenix's performance as Joker, Arthur Fleck. Just, if it's a character study, and I feel the character did such a great job in his performance, I can't give him anything less than an 8 out of 10.
In this movie, I always think of every Joker line from every actor. There was a quote in Batman: The Killing Joke, the animated rated R, that it's the Joker saying, "All it takes is one bad day," and that's to get to the madness. And it seemed like he was having one bad day.
But it was a multitude of bad days.
But it was every
in
day.
this movie.
Right.
And that, because I saw The Killing Joke, and I loved that movie. It's a fantastic. I recommend everyone go see it.
Yeah.
But the amount of pain and the amount of craziness that that Joker went through was so minuscule compared to this Joker. Yeah. Any thoughts on what I just said?
A lot of this film was derived from Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and his King of Comedy film.
Yes.
And I think those themes and the kind of story, they're very similar. A little too similar for me, which kind of takes away that extra point for me of the film, just creative-wise.
Yeah.
But this Joker movie, it's like we've said, it's a character study.
Yeah.
And it's 2 hours of character study. And overall, they did a really good job with that. And yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I would just like to add that just how you had touched upon the Killing Joke, all it takes is one bad day. He actually, without getting into spoilers, says in the film, "I had a bad day," right after something
it touched me as well.
huge happens. Another thing I would like to say is the very opening line. It isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailer. The very opening line is when he meets with the social worker and he says, "Is it me or is it getting crazier out there?"
Yeah.
Just to what happens after the opening scene, which is also in the trailer.
Foreshadowing and everything that went into the film was really, it was just all these elements. Like you would have 50 diamonds in each hand. If you just smash them together and get one huge diamond, that's what I would say this movie was, right?
You could also say that you don't know if which diamonds are real.
Yes.
Because the story is very unreliable and you don't know what's real. And
Such an unreliable narrator.
Yes.
Yeah. There was some softer moments within the film, but unfortunately, we've come down to the last wire of our time. I would like to thank both of my fantastic Joker enthusiast guests, Ben Grabowski and Sam Serrano, for joining me today. I've been your host, Spazdor, and thank you for watching Self-Proclaimed Movie Critics. Thank you.